from the Richland Hills Public Library. I'm Miranda, the youth librarian, and this week we are studying and learning about all things pirate. So for this experiment / art project today, I'm going to be showing you how to not entirely make your own pirate map, but how to get the paper to look like a real pirate map before you get started on the artsy creative part. Okay, so here are all of your potential supplies. There are several different ways that you can make a pirate map and get that cool kind of old looking feel. You can do it with lemon juice and an oven. You have to have an oven for the lemon juice. You can do it with coffee. I particularly prefer decaf. I use decaf because I don't drink it. So it's just for crafting. But I prefer instant coffee for this project, and I'll talk a little bit about why in a minute. Or you can actually use tea, either tea bags, or you can use loose leaf tea. I prefer the loose leaf because when it clumps on the paper and you leave it to dry, it creates some really cool like textural variations in the color. But you can do the same thing with the tea bag. Once you've steeped the tea in your water and you've got all that lovely brown liquid, you can open up the tea bag and shake out the contents onto your paper as well. So any one of those is going to work for you. As long as you have one of them, you're good. And you don't need the oven necessarily for the coffee or for the tea, but you can use the oven to make things go a little bit faster. So I've already got my coffee prepped because that's the one I'm actually going to show you how to make today. You'll also need, again, depending on how you're going to do it. If you're doing the oven, you do not want saran wrap on your pan. Don't do that. That would be bad. But if you're going to leave it to dry, like under a fan, then the saran wrap is just a way to keep your pan a little cleaner so you don't have to do a lot of scrubbing later. I'm about to take the saran wrap off because we're going to be using the oven. And then you'll need some sort of brush to brush your liquid on. I'm just using my go-to paintbrush for this one. But you don't have to brush. You can dribble instead with a spoon or whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. That's for the lemon juice. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that one today. So let's go ahead and take our saran wrap off since ours is definitely going in the oven. And you will see a lot of online documents for making old paper that tell you to use a match to burn the edges. But what I found, and actually let me go ahead and show you my examples. What I found is that you don't need a match to burn the edges. If you make sure that your edges are soaked properly, you get that same old kind of burned look, even without using a match. So just to kind of show you what's going on here, this is with the lemon juice and cooked in the oven, 350 for maybe 5 minutes, no more than that. Definitely if you're cooking in the oven, keep an eye on it because it cooks really fast. And it does turn out more brittle if you cook it in the oven, but it's still usable. It's not like it's, tearing apart in my hands. Plus the lemon juice cooking in the oven gave some really cool, I don't know if you can see them, some really cool like raised textures that I really liked. Plus it got our edges all nice and really dark. Then this one in the middle is the coffee, which is what we're going to be doing for our experiment today. And you can kind of see where I scattered some of the instant coffee and just let it kind of sit and soak, and that's why we're getting all of these lovely like darker areas in here. This one I did not put in the oven, I just left it out to dry. And then for our final one, I did something a little bit different with this one, and something I'm going to do for our project here is I crumpled it up and then uncrumpled and then crumpled and uncrumpled a whole bunch of times before leaving it to soak in tea and tea leaves. And I think out of all of them, this one is my favorite because of the crumbled effect. So we're going to do a combination of my favorite texture with the coffee with my other favorite texture, which is the crumple. And we're going to do that today. So first and foremost, you have to tear off your edges. Let's set that aside. And you can go straight down the paper if you want, but if you want to add some curves and things in there, you can definitely do that. Just be careful not to tear away too much. Otherwise, you won't have enough room to Draw your island for your buried treasure. There we go. Okay, so we have our piece of paper, and this is just normal computer paper. Like, there's nothing special about it. It's not cardstock or anything like that. Now we're just gonna crumple it up. This part is fun. It's very stress relieving. And you can do it just once. The more times that you crumple and then uncrumple and then crumple again, the more flimsy your paper becomes. So you have to be more careful with it once it gets damp, because it tears a little bit easier. I think I'm just gonna do it like one more time. Okay. And the thing about crumpling is that you get this lovely dark liquid going down into all of these creases and grooves from the crumples of the paper, and it looks really cool. Okay, so then we're gonna flatten it out again. Did I? Yeah. Okay, and then we're gonna take our coffee. And just start painting. And again, you do have to be a little careful. Like, if I'm not careful, that part's gonna tear right off. And you can just pour it right on there, but that can make a real mess once you stick it in the oven, because all of that other coffee is going to cook down onto your pan, and then cleaning it up later will not be fun. So that's why I use the brush instead of just pouring it on. And then once I've got it pretty much covered, I go back and I try to get the edges, again, because that's what creates that cool burned look. And it's okay if it starts to kind of air bubble like that. That's going to add some really cool textures. Okay. All right, so once you've got that good, then I go ahead and put some extra liquid on. And then, to get those really nice, cool, dark areas, kind of just sprinkle that on there. And then because it's instant coffee, as soon as it hits that those watery areas, it immediately starts to dissolve. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. So now we are going to step into the kitchen, put it in the oven at 350, and then we'll see how long it takes us to get us to where I'm happy with how it looks. Again, this is one of those where there's not really a set amount of time to bake it for, because it all kind of depends on how you want your piece of paper to look. But you don't want to bake it for too long, otherwise it is paper and it might actually set on fire. So you do have to watch it and be careful. So we're going to cut to the kitchen and we're going to get to cooking our piece of paper. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen. We have our piece of paper ready to go. We're gonna stick it in the oven. I already have the oven light on so I can watch it as it's cooking. All right, and you can see how the coffee has already started to kind of completely dissolve, but we've still got these lovely dark areas. It's gonna be really awesome. Okay, so it's set at 350, and we're just going to let it cook and keep an eye on it. Okay, so it's been in here for about 12 minutes. It's definitely getting a lot darker than I would prefer for it to be. So I'm worried that it's burning. So we're going to go ahead and take it out. All right. Okay. Yeah, it definitely got a little bit crispier than I would have preferred. We're going to bring it over here. I'm also worried that it might have actually stuck to our pan. So I'm going to get a pair of tongs and see if I can carefully pry it up. I might not have any trouble, but I just kind of worried. Oh yeah, look at that. It's just coming right off. Nice. Okay, so as you can see, the coffee created, in about 12 minutes, 350 degrees, the coffee created a really lovely weathered, leathery look. Now, you let it cool off first, of course, and then you can start drawing your pirate map. You can either have the whole thing be part of your island, or you can draw the islands kind of in the middle, and then have all of your, just like a pirate would, you can have like your skull rock, and your collection of palm trees in the shape of an X, and your dots and dashes that lead you to the X marks the spots where your buried treasure is. If you want to get really creative with it, you can even have your treasure map lead to an actual place out in the real world, if you in your backyard. Or like at a dog park. Don't go digging anything up if you're not supposed to. Don't be in an area digging things up where you shouldn't be. But you could have your treasure concealed somewhere, like in the nook of a tree roots or something along those lines. Lots of different possibilities for this. It can be lots of fun. You can of course also use it. Oh look, it's cool already. I can just hold it. Oh, let me show you the back side. The back side is way lighter than the front side. So you could use either side for your creation. And of course you can use this for things other than treasure maps, obviously, but we're doing pirates this week. So this is all about piratey things and piratey treasure maps. So there you have it. That's our experiment for today. An experiment / craft project, I suppose. It seems like my camera person has a question.
What's the best thing to draw on it with?
Oh, that's a valid question. I would say probably paint. I would go with paint. Either acrylic, if you're okay with the fact that there's plastic involved and your clothes might not come clean, or tempera, which is washable. You could try Sharpies, but I wouldn't do like regular Crayola markers. I'm not sure how well they take to the fact that this is technically a food substance, and I'm not sure it would, the markers would do so well with that, but I think the paint would do okay. So I think that's it. Obviously there are lots of different ways you can go with this project, and if you have any questions about it, you can always post them in the comments on Facebook or on Instagram, and I will do my best to answer those questions for you, since this is one of those that can go so many different ways. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you had a good time and enjoyed it. Don't forget to post your own creations, preferably with stuff drawn on them, but you don't have to. You can just show us the cool paper that you made. I mean, obviously this is really awesomely textured stuff. So, you know, feel free to do that. This does also count towards your craft project for your mission for the Pirates for our summer reading club program online. So you can also take a picture and post it there. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you have a good day.